belly fat is not always a calorie problem. Why is that? Because belly fat is most of the times a hormone problem, in this case, cortisol. How do I lose belly fat? This is the number one question that people ask me, which is the belly fat and the love handles. And in today's video, I'm going to give you 7 tips on how to finally tackle that. And the first thing that I need to tell you is the results that you're going to get with these tips are not just when it comes to belly fat, but also when it comes to you feeling more energy, feeling like yourself, having better body composition overall, burning more fat, building more muscle, improving your sleep, improving your libido, literally everything. First thing, how are you going to start today? The first thing that you need to do is you wake up and you hydrate. And I know this is very boring, but this is one of the most common mistakes that I see people doing, which is they're not hydrating properly. They wake up, they drink caffeine, they drink maybe a glass of water that, by the way, doesn't hydrate you. You want water with a little bit of salt or a little bit of lemon. Ideally, the first hour, 1 liter of water, no caffeine the first 60 minutes. That's exactly what you want to do. You're 7, 8 hours, sometimes perhaps even 9 hours in bed, you're dehydrated. So you need to replenish those fluids in order for you to have energy, in order for you to kickstart your metabolism. So this is the first thing that you need to do. You hydrate, a little bit of sea salt, a little bit of lemon, 750 milliliters to 1 liter of water within the first hour, and no caffeine the first 60 minutes of the day at least, just water. And why is that? Because of the cortisol curve. What it means is that when you wake up, your body is releasing cortisol. By releasing cortisol, you're gonna feel awake. And if you put caffeine on the top of that as soon as you wake up, you're gonna massively spike your cortisol, and then you're gonna have a crash. You're gonna have an energy crash later on. First thing, hydration only. No caffeine the first 60 to 90 minutes. Second thing that you need to do is morning sunlight. You go outside, get some sun. As simple as that. And no, it's not with sunglasses, and it's not through a window, it's not in your car. It's within the first hour of the day, ideally the first 30 minutes, but not always possible. Within the first hour of the day, you go outside, you get morning sunlight in your face. Bright light, even if it's cloudy, it doesn't matter. Just go outside. Even if it's cloudy, you still get the same benefits for circadian rhythm regulation. It will regulate your circadian rhythm, and it will promote cortisol awakening response, which is you're going to spike your cortisol, which is a good thing, by the way, when you wake up. Then you're going to drop that cortisol when it's supposed to drop, which is in the evening, making you tired. Now, why is it good, this, and why is it important? Because when you're releasing cortisol in the morning and you decrease your cortisol in the evening, you're going to have better sleep. By having better sleep, you're going to burn more fat, you're going to have less cortisol in your body, more testosterone, better insulin sensitivity, which will therefore make you burn more fat. So as you see, all this is connected. How can morning sunlight help me lose belly fat? I just explained you the mechanism of how you're going to lose belly fat by getting morning sunlight. Again, consistency is the name of the game, which brings me to point number 3, 50 grams of protein before 12 p.m. Why is that? Protein will kickstart your metabolism and it will prevent cravings. Also, what you want is, along with those 50 grams of protein, is minimal carbs. So ideally protein, fats, so high protein, moderate fat, high fiber, no carbs in the morning. Why? Keep your insulin levels low, make you burn more fat. You don't need carbs because with 50 grams of protein, for example, 3 to 4 eggs or a couple of egg whites, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, a bit of avocado, a couple of nuts, you're not going to have energy crash a couple of hours later. You're not going to have cravings because you're going to have enough protein in your body to satiate you. Ideally, when I say before 12, it's maximum before 12 p.m. Because, for example, if you wake up at 6, it's already 6-hour fasting until 12 p.m. You don't eat the first 3 to 4 hours of the day. Let your body get that fat burning effect. Let your body decrease your insulin levels to prime your body to burn more fat. And then you break the fast with a high protein, moderate fat, low carb meal, at least 50 grams of protein. Which brings me to the next point, which is no caffeine after 12 p.m. And why is it important? Because caffeine after 12 p.m. at 1, 2, 3 p.m. will increase your cortisol levels. It will make your cortisol levels high as the evening approaches, which you don't want. And no caffeine after 12 p.m. because it has a lifetime cycle of 8 hours, depends on the theory, 6 to 8 hours. What it means is that if you're drinking caffeine at 3 or 4 p.m., you still have caffeine in your bloodstream at midnight, which means that's not ideal because at that time you don't want to have caffeine in your bloodstream. So ideally cut caffeine after 12 p.m. Which brings me to the next point, which is strength training 3 to 4 days a week. And I know you probably heard this a lot of times before. You keep lifting weights and you keep not seeing the results. And why? Because again, I see a lot of times people doing the wrong type of training. They're training 60, 90 minutes. They're doing a bunch of tricep exercises, bicep exercises, lateral raises, some ab crunches, or even a bunch of cardio, elliptical. I mean, something is better than nothing, but you need to understand the framework. So the problem is if you're doing excessive cardio, running 3, 4, 5 days a week, a bunch of cardio, elliptical, running, heat classes, you're massively spiking your cortisol levels and you're spiking your hunger hormones as well. This is a terrible combination because by releasing more cortisol, you're going to accumulate more fat, especially around the belly. And then a couple of hours later, you're going to have cravings, right? Hunger hormones will be up, cortisol will be up, fat accumulation will go directly to the belly, and you're going to become perhaps skinny fat, which is a very common syndrome that people really don't like, which is you're skinny and you look decent, but when you remove the t-shirt, you have that belly fat. So you want strength training 3 to 4 days a week, mainly compound movements. 45 to 50 minutes is more than enough. 5 to 6 exercises. You don't need 10 or 12 exercises. I can even give you an example of a leg workout or upper body workout or my workout structure, not in this video. Just let me know in the comments down below if you want me to record a full workout so that you have an idea of the type of workout that you should be doing in order to finally lose the belly fat and so that it's not compromising your cortisol levels. So just write me down below the type of workout that you would like, lower body, upper body, and I'll be more than happy to record one for you. Anyway, 3 to 4 days a week. And why is strength training so important, more important than cardio for fat loss, in this case for belly fat? Because muscle acts like a sponge. So if you build muscle, your muscle will act like a sponge. So drop the cardio, focus on strength training. And again, I'm not saying for you not to do cardio. I personally do cardio every week, but I prioritize strength training 3 to 4 days a week, cardio once or twice a week. That's the framework that I would recommend. Unfortunately, most people are doing the opposite. They're lifting weights 1 or 2 days a week, and then they're doing cardio 3 or 4 days a week. So try to reverse that. Strength training 3 to 4 days a week. Get your steps the other days, 10 to 12,000 steps. 1 zone 2 cardio, 1 hit, and you're good to go. Which brings me to the next point, which is 10 to 15 minute walk after meal. And why is it important to walk 10 to 15 minutes after meals? Simply because it lowers your glucose levels and it facilitates gastric emptying. What it means is that basically it improves your digestion and it lowers blood glucose. So I'm going to say something that is controversial, but it's actually true, which is 10 to 15 minute walk after meal is more beneficial for blood sugar control than doing a brutal cardio session or brutal heat sessions. Why? Because again, if you eat, you spike your insulin, and if you go for a walk after that, you decrease your insulin levels without increasing your hunger hormones. Walking after meals decreases blood sugar levels, facilitates gastric emptying. So get your walk after meals. Which brings me to the next point, which is you're going to eat your carbs at night. And I know this is controversial. I know people will tell you eat carbs in the morning, don't eat carbs after 6 p.m. if you want to lose fat. And I'm going to tell you the exact opposite. You don't eat carbs in the morning, you eat carbs in the evening. Why? Because carbs will help you with sleep. It will help you with relaxation. What happens when you eat carbs, as I mentioned in the previous point of the breakfast, high protein, moderate fat, low carb, is that if you're having a bunch of carbs, you're going to release serotonin, which is basically something that will make you relaxed. It will make you lethargic, and you don't want that in the morning, right? You want that in the evening. And by the way, I don't mean donuts. I don't mean cookies and pastries and a bunch of sugars and soda. I don't mean that. A bit of rice, a bit of sweet potato, some oats. So healthy sources of carbs. These will increase serotonin levels, which will make you a little bit more relaxed. It will make you sleepy, and it will improve deep sleep directly. This is one of the mistakes that I see, which is people wake up at 3 a.m. because they're cutting carbs. So if you cut carbs a lot, you're going to sacrifice your sleep. You can have a few more calories, yes, from the carbs, but that's actually good because, again, you're going to have better sleep, more deep sleep. More deep sleep means that you're going to burn more fat, you're going to have more testosterone in your body, and all your bodily functions will work way better than if you're just sacrificing that, if you're cutting carbs and you're sleeping like crap. Anyway, eat your carbs in the evening, which brings me here to the next point, sleep. And I know sleep is a boring topic. If I make a video about supplements, you get a lot of views. If I talk about sleep, no one cares. They just care about peptides and fat-burning pills and supplements. But I'm here to tell you that the last point that I'm mentioning here is perhaps the most important one. I'm not going to tell you simply to sleep better. I'm going to give you some actionable tips. So first thing that you want to do is cold room. That's what you want, 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. Then what you want as well is go to the bed at the same time. So aim to go to bed at the same time. Cold, dark room. Put your blue light blocking glasses 1 hour before bed. Avoid devices as well the last 30 to 60 minutes of the day. You're going to burn more fat. You're going to build more muscle. And you're going to feel way, way better. So don't underestimate sleep. Now, these are the main tips that I would give you in order for you to lose belly fat. I guarantee that if you apply this, you're going to see the results that you're looking for. I hope this was useful. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one.